It's Happy Days on podcast. Ntwana yami.
Ola ntwana yami. Ngendlela top. I know.
It's always a good day to have a good day.
Wena lesilungu sakho. Siwazi isilungu. Yeah, namhlanje ntwana yami siphethe i-legend. Yazi noma engena la eroomini ngazo ama goosebumps ntwana ngathi yeah. Umama Yvonne Chaka Chaka.
Ninjani mama?
Siyaphila
No, asibulise kahle, no asibulise kahle. Sanibonani manje. Mele sihloniphe. Right ma.
Right bantwana bami njani?
Hayi no siyaphila. Sivakashela.
Ngikhumbula siyakhuluma nawe
Efonini.
Efonini safaka emoyeni. Wena bongekho aware. Sifuna ukuthi utshela abantu ukuthi uzoza nini.
Ningihijacking. Ningihijacking. Right umama makahijack abantwana bakhe.
Siphathele milkshake esibona milkshake. Lezi zinganatsho.
And asibuza ngathi ufusha icoffee nje kuphela sizomlethela mama.
Into engathi ziphambili.
Mara mina ngiphuza ibrand nenkomazi.
Angithi ubhizi non-alcoholic buka manje ama brand. No after a show senze plan.
After the show.
Yeah, so mami vele asikhulume ngendaba ukuthi vele uzalelwe eSoweto eDobsonville.
Ekas.
Yeah, ekas. Mina ngibuye emndeni. Okay, ngizalelwe ephila. Mina bekunjani nje ukukhulela eDobsonville? Before nje uzucula ngoba vele azange mhlawumbe uthanda ukucula cha.
Uyibhari yasemndeni wena.
Ayibakufikele namhlanje. Ayibakufikele ntana
Mina nangiclever yaseDobs.
Sina besisuka emndeni soshele eDobsonville.
And ngiyathanda uthi clever yaseDobs.
Yeah.
Because yazi why ngisho kanje ma because angithi mawuse especially Soweto khona iphirima petla zola mndeni.
Yeah.
Ilabo ama Middlelands
Dube. Lapha ama clever cabanga ukuthi ahlala. Ama clever aseDobs. Nasezola ke.
Yeah.
Yabona emndeni emabhodini ngokushaya zafi.
Yeah. How was it like growing up, especially during those times? I mean, some of us don't know the challenges that any hambe kuzo to be here. That is why it's very important to appreciate you because you guys, I mean, it was tough those days, but you made it.
You know, growing up in Soweto during those days, I wouldn't say it was tough. It was different, but I think today, when I look back, the way I grew up as Yvonne, umntana kaSof, or kaSisthandi, as my mother was known, I knew ukuthi uSistelma next door is my mom. I knew ukuthi uMamandlela next door was my mom. I knew ukuthi uButsilo next door was my father. We were a very close-knit family. Nobody could go to bed without eating. I remember my mother would say, "Thatha nasi sitsha sempuphu, iya lapha kaPhexi, uyocela itamati." Phuthela isinkwa, athi iya lapha ya kaMandlela, uyocela ianyanisi. Aphuthela ishukela nyana lapha oritswayi, athi ya lapha kaBomanini, uyocela isinkwa. That's how we lived.
Dala inhlupheko bivalwa.
Inhlupheko bengekho siyazi inhlupheko. If people tell me today that sikhule sihlupheko
Makhula kanzima.
Ngikushaya. Ngoba azange asibonanga inhlupheko because you knew that mawuya next door uzothola isinkwa, mawuya kwenye opposite uzothola itswayi, mawuya le kulesa strati kwaMambanibani uzothola Erika. Erika ibata leya.
Like carbonate of soda.
You know, so we were that close when we grew up. So no child could have gone to bed without eating. And during those days, we didn't have street kids because umntwana bekumntwana urich bomntanami. You were my son, and you wouldn't stand there and dare smoke in front of me. I wouldn't stand there with a boy. Ngoba lo mama lo makandlula uzongibona akushaye ngempama ashaye nami ngempama ahamba yongibhayisa ekhaya ngifike ngishaye nasekhaya. So really for me those are the things that are lagging behind today. Azikho utshela bani ukuthi angabe namhlanje umntana kabani. It's like mind your own business hlukana nami. Yeah,
I like the fact ukuthi ubekile ukuthi those days as there was this assumption ukuthi no besihlupheka in beautiful what she's saying, because you look at now emakasi sometimes awazi ukuthi the person who stays in Stray from awazi nokwazi awazani nje makunenkinga awunazani nje, which is lacking. Is that what you're saying, man?
Well, I think it's actually very sad because, you know, during apartheid things were so bad that we protected each other. We knew ukuthi lapha amaphoyisa when they come to raid bazo raida lapha kwaSibisi or kwaNkosi ngoba kuhlala abafana. So abomama lapha abantwana babo bekuyamantombazana lesibathatha abafana sibafihle kulezo zinto because amaphoyisa ayazi ukuthi hayi la kuhlala amantombazana akunadoti lapha. They'll go and raid all those houses, so would hide those young boys and you know, because we wanted to make the country ungovernable by shaya imoto zamasingwa laphayana, imoto zamabisi amabheka, you know, ekhaya bekulapho kufihlwa khona zonke lezi zinto ngoba kusemantombazaneni nobody would suspect. So that's how we lived, you know. So for me, you knew ukuthi umalum James or umalum Pace uzogada umntwana, ayikho into ezoba wrong. Fast forward to 2022. Umalum uyaluma.
Hey,
umalum uyaluma. Gubi guys, gubi. Where have you seen a country ugogo na 80 or na 90 arejwa? Ye madoda. Asikhulumeni bantwana babo. Asikhulumeni. Gubi. South Africa becomes the only country where such things happen. Whereas we're the last people to get our freedom. And during apartheid, we were there for one another. We looked out for each other. If we knew ukuthi this young man is politically inclined, besimfihla, simprotector, we were there for you. But today, we all mind our own businesses. Which is sad.
Yeah, no, that's not very long to say that. But now, going back to apartheid no music. How can you paint the picture, especially for Tina Abodaki?
You know, apartheid and music or any creative space, you know, whether
sportsman or...
Exactly. Whether you're a sportsman or a runner or a painter, obviously there were no recreational spaces for us as black people. We couldn't expand as much as we would have wished to. And abazali bethu, obviously, because of where they came from, you know, they were told ukuthi vele wena secretary, right? Or nurse or teacher, or polisanyana. So, you know, those were the avenues and which were set for us as black people. But I look back and I say, we've had great leaders. You know, people who were very educated. I mean, you look at Umamu Charlotte Manyema Tweg. She was the first one to even get her own degree. You know, there are women who are very educated. Abo Mamu, Nkosiam Konjubanu Umama, Nkosiam Nang Nyambona. But I'm talking about women who took education as something very, very... Mam Kuzwai, Ellen Kuzwai. And those were women who really inspired us, despite the fact that we were shoved into the so-called townships. You know, people lived in different places. I mean, like, you still see Alexander. You still... Paul, Ada, Besofaya, and all those places. White people didn't think we were worth of staying in such places. And they forcefully removed our parents and put us in the so-called townships, where the smaller nyana yard, you know, whereas people would wake up and just go to work. Now people have to wake up at 4 o'clock and get themselves in 7. You have to be up at 4 to get transport and it's a mess. And which has some 6 to figure 9 or 10. So these are the things that apartheid had done to our people. You know, forceful removement and giving us the worst education, you know, and make sure ukuthi bevala incwadi ngoba nathi siyabanika lento abayifunayo labantu ukuthi you know, if you just want to make sure that you don't give much to umntwana omnyama nikeza incwadi. We fail to research, we fail to read, we fail to write our own stories and wait for other people to write for our stories. So those who write our stories, they'll write it in the best way they know.
That's true. So talking about education, Yvonne, I understand Dala or ufuna a lawyer before ungena music in. Kuze kanjani ukuthi deviate?
Well, we plan. We always plan. You plan your life, you plan what you want to do, but sometimes circumstances don't allow you to do what you wish to do. So my father died when I was 11, my mother was a domestic worker, and my mother wanted me to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a chartered accountant. But I knew for me that was just wishful thinking. Because my mother was earning 40 rands a month. And Dad had died, you know, when I was 11. We didn't even get his pension fund. Hey, I want that company. The company is a heritage. Henoxberg. Or Henoxberg. Mansapki. Yes, I'm so ready. I'm putting my babam ye.
Like about best fast than about TV.
Well, it was. No, no, you know, so fast forward, we're still talking about education. I couldn't go to university. I couldn't go to university because my mom did not have the money. Anyway, my eldest sister wanted to be a doctor, but she ended up being a nurse. I know my sister was earning 67 rands by fucking a brown envelope. Envelope. And she was working to help my mother to take me and my middle sister to school. You know, so she had to do nursing. And then my middle sister's always wanted to be a teacher. And she accomplished her mission. She's got 3 degrees in education. And then me again about my shampla.
And then Mami Yvonne, music he decided, you know what, ngifuna to go this route because probably it was your passion or mhlambe.
Not really.
What led you?
I think music just found me on the way. Music just found me on the way. It's something that I never planned to do because my mother really never wanted me to be a musician. And during our times, people in the creative space, in the creative industry, were never respected. The whole arts thing was never taken seriously. You know, and even today, people must have good. You know, whether you're a DJ or what, so this is the education that we need to still, you know, teach our people. So I found myself at the SABC in 1981. I was just looking for scholarships, you know, and a guy called Bernard Joffe. I think that guy was ahead of his time, really ahead of his time because he did a reality show. So there were children. In fact, he came to Soweto, you know, advertising and activations were different at the time. Even based on figure no popo, hello, and you run behind this car. We get me. Gone are those times. I mean, guys. I mean, you children now. My 2000. You know, Tina Bespu and want to hear. And a guy called Bernard Joffe, in fact, I want to give him this big up and say to him, you were ahead of your times. Probably we didn't have the name or the word reality TV. I think he was almost the first person to do this in South Africa because in 1981, I must have been 13 as well. And he came up with programs, I can't remember which was the first one, whether it was Sugar Shack or Abangobi, but one of those. But I think the guy just liked me because when he packaged everything, I was the first one on television. This was in 1981 because television in South Africa started in 1979. 76.
76, yeah.
1976 for white people only. TV1.
Yeah.
TV1.
So
Siyayibukela and then bese kuba newashi ngo-10.
Selulalo manje sekunewash ngo-10. And then 1976, 77, 78, 79, 80, 1981, they then decided to have TV for black people, you know.
Okay.
This is apartheid, by the way, you know, and TV was between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. And there was nothing, there was just cartoons. There was cartoons, amapopai. Yeah, gonna Heidi, Heidi, wakhona ipopai yakho.
During those days.
Fana ukubukela uHeidi. Fana ubukele uHeidi. And you just go there and there was nothing. So this guy, I think he was ahead of his time. And he came with these programs called umqombothi or Sugar Shack, and I think he just liked me because when he packaged, I was the first one to be there, and I got 500 rands. Yo, I was rich. Yes, it's 500 rands. And I was richer than my mom. Bengihamba so. Bengihamba so endlini. Bengikhonya. We have 500 rand. Phela nginemali more than my mom.
Can you grows?
Yeah. Ngafaka a big window.
You're 5
Yeah, 500 rand. Ngafaka a big window.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So when did you meet Phil Hollins?
Phil Hollis. Okay, now this is 1981. I do the two programs, umqombothi and Sugar Shack, with Mom Abigail Kubega, was one of the presenters, and a very handsome guy who was called Johnny Dimba. May his soul rest in peace. He was an academic, an amazing guy. And fast forward, I went and I finished my matric, and I'm due to go to university. This particular day, I find myself at Commissioner Street. Because that's where the SABC was.
Okay. Situated commission.
Ngicanga tuipa. Assembly. SABC. Not going to join la.
No, I think taste that.
Nifuna ukungiseta
No, but
up
ukhuluma
nina
uthe masicala isho mama uthe wena ubofuna ibrand.
nenkomanzi.
Nenkomanzi. Nakunajwala. Mbuthi wasifakela ngutshwala.
No, so Phil Hollis, it was a very interesting story. So I found myself at the SABC, but I was actually going to look for a scholarship. And there was only one place called the Race Relations, a Bramfontein. That was the only place where black children would get bursaries, scholarships. And so every time I went there, I've been going there every week, you know, and so I decided to walk to the SABC. No, I wasn't walking to the SABC. I don't know where was I walking to.
Yeah,
I must
Uzambela,
you know. But anyway, I found myself at the SABC, and when I was sitting there was a lady called Sungu, and they were looking for presenters. This is 1981 now, you know, and all those beauty queens. So obviously SABC was for white people, and Abobas, it's like dust up. Ashem tina siphuma kude. Yabona belungu laba banoboya lobo ukuthi yeah. So fanele bese, you know. So they were pairing us to go upstairs for an audition. But I've been to the SABC before.
Yeah, you did mention it.
In 1981, I did this program with, I think the guy was Johnny, who was one of the presenters as well, and then Nabo Bernard Joffy. Anyway, cut the long story short, a guy came called Louis Lope. He had tapes, Agamagino. Remember the song? Holiday.
Yeah.
You can be alright, honey. Boom, 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 boom.
So anyway, we were paired with the lady, with Sungu. So Louis Lope comes and says, "Hey, did you say the tape with Magino? Come with me." So the lady invites me, you know, for the Artamai. So looking at her,
yeah.
You know? But she insists, hi, asihambe. So the guy says, no, asihambe. I work for this record company called D4. We're actually doing auditions and looking for ladies to sing. So Phil Hollis had been there for a long time. I mean, he managed Abo Petshane, Magino, Indomis Shishane, and all those guys. So we went to his office and I got there and I'm like, oh, star. You know, you see Petshane on the wall. Yeah, of course. Showing a pemiake like Yabona Bomagino, Yabona Indoms Shinshane. I mean, these were our superstars. And I'm like, looks like I'm at the right place here, you know. But I have very little to say because I invited this lady. And she dragged me to come. Anyway, cut the long story short, Phil Hollis comes and we're being introduced. And so Louis goes, Bas, don't worry, don't speak to that one. I don't know her. I know this other lady that is here with me. She can sing. So I looked at him like a little bit sheepish, you know. Anyway, she goes into the boardroom. I stay in the reception. I don't know what happened in the boardroom. So I'm looking at my time. I'm like, hey, I don't want to be here. Anyway, I have to leave. So as I'm standing up leaving, Phil Hollis comes back. He's like, hey, young lady, come. It's your turn now for an audition. I'm like, okay. So the lady sits at the reception and I go in the boardroom and he makes me listen to the song. And I'm listening and I'm like, so he's asking me, do you like the song? I'm going to be in my kitchen. So I'm impressed. I'm like, how can I like the song? I'm hearing this song for the first time. Hey, you're cheeky. Okay? I'm like, no, I'm not cheeky. I'm just being rational. So and he says, okay, can you sing? I'm like, well, yeah, no, singing not my thing. I want to be a chartered accountant or a lawyer. Anyway, and he says, okay, just sing. So I said, what? He said, anything. So I'm like, okay. So I started singing. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
Let it be.
So the white man came out and said, I found my girl. And that's how I was found. He gave me 20 rands, 4 purple, 5 rands, 4. Purple 5 rands. I was on my purple 5 rands. How you doing?
No, I'm like, yes, 5 rand, yeah, pep.
Yeah, they purple.
Oh, yeah.
No,
You
it was purple. So he gave me 5 of those. And I'm looking and I'm like, yo, I'm so rich. 20 rand. And he says, you must come back on Monday. He gives me the tape of the song. And he gives me the words of the song. It's raining in the city. I've got nowhere to go. I have no one to talk to. I'm in love with the DJ. I'm like, So I come out. The lady's sitting there by the reception. So I come smiling. And I'm like, and he's like, and I'm like, it's like, manje. I'm like, ubasuknegili imali. So she looks at me. It's like, imali. I'm like, imali. So now she tries to hold me. I'm like, and now she tries to pose me. What are you talking about? And I'm like, no, basungizele mali, wangi tape, wanginika namagama, uthi ngibuye Monday. Wena uthe, hayi mina uthe akashoko nix kimi lo muntu. Okay, na yahamba manje. Sasingene manje. I did get into the lift. He tries to hold me. I'm like, hey, so I left anyway. Came back on a Monday. Went into the studio, recorded. I'm in love with the teacher. And that's how I was found.
What's very interesting about you, Mama, is that at that young age, you that time it was difficult in terms of, but you stood your ground. I'm sensing this thing with you were not, you had a fire in you. You were confident. You understand? Like, I'm seeing that person
Well, you know, because I knew who I was, I knew who I wanted to be, I knew where I was at that point in time and where I wanted to go to. So I just thought, okay, here's an opportunity presenting itself. Do I take it? Do I lose it? Do I mess it up or what? And so it was reporting, I'm in love with the DJ. And then from there it was, thank you, Mr. DJ. I'm burning up.
umqombothi. Burning up.
Thank you, Mr.
Hi,
DJ.
Danny.
Thank you, Mr. DJ.
Yeah.
That song, you know, let me tell Mama. I mean, it's 2022. Look at our how we. What do you think is musical wa khale be relevant to us today? I mean, many years. But 1981, it's 2022. I'm getting goosebumps by, and we're still playing. We have. You understand? Hey, it's not like I'm it's not like King. What was so special about it?
You know, music is music. Music will always stay relevant. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And then you find young people with a different flair, and they pump.
Okay.
Well, is it pimping it or pumping it or whatever?
Yeah.
So music is music, and music is taken from music, guy. You know, music is taken from different music. So different eras have got different genres of music. So we were there at that particular time. Gandhi, before us, we had your Miriam Makebas, you know, and all other different music. Amahotela Queens, Indoms is Shin Shan, and all those, you know, Mbaqanga, Mashatini, and all those. So music evolves, music changes, and music will always remain music. Yeah.
But yours, so many decades, so many eras.
But power.
Yeah, it's still. It's not like. Thank you, Mr. DJ, for instance. I'll go, okay, I'm excited. Yes, there's been the pianos there. I mean, excitement. There must be something special.
It's music, as I said. I mean, you can still go into a party and play. You
know, yeah, okay, so you're saying music is music.
So really, for me, music is music. So our kind of music happened to be that kind of music. I mean, you go to a party today and you play I'm Your Weekend Special, and people will still stand up and dance.
I in 20 years to come, lama piano abang ingane zethu or abazulu bethu amapiano now 2022
after 3-2 months esikhohliwe
inkinga yeni le inkinga yenu when isikhohlwe ingoma zethu
bona lezi abareleasayo man siyayikhohlwa umuntu after 4 months bona
asayazi
why ngibuza mina
quality yomculo I think.
Well, I really don't know. I mean, I mean, the song that I really love now.
Yeah, Maj, I was about to ask.
It's one of my favorite songs. Yeah. Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Sivulele. So there's different songs coming in, you know, different times, and so I would not say the quality of music of today is bad. I will not. I will be very silly to even say that. I think the young people today, they do the music in the best way they know how. And they express themselves in the best way they know how. And what we can do for them is to encourage them and be there. You know, I mean, one of my all-time favorite songs is Zoitola Ganja. You know? So it's that kind of music. So music is music. Music evolves, and really, you don't sing for yourself. You sing for the public. You sing for the people as well.
Yeah. So, Mama Yvonne Babiza, Princess of Africa. So, who do you think is the Queen of Africa, according to you?
According to me, I think the Queen of Africa is Miriam Makeba.
Yeah, I thought as much.
Miriam Makeba, I mean, we've got lots of queens,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
We've got Miriam Makeba, we've got Cesaria Avora, you know. We've got, there's this great, beautiful lady from Nigeria. How can I forget? So we've got lots of queens. We've got Angelique Kidjo.
Angelique Kidjo,
You know.
yeah.
So
Young girl.
Africa has got great, great musicians.
So how do you then move to even release khona le ngoma le yakho ithini ngoma?
Kana usizwa mayithanda usikhana uthi usizwa mayithanda but I want to say
ufike kanjani
we should love that song
manje
and my
siphula sonke ke akho sase Joseph
yeah and my sister is 25
Bengengiyibambe nokuyibamba bengazi nokuthi usho
just with my sister is 25 but she loves kana uche na is changani or is shona kana when you cry when you feel
yazi ngoma nika Simpson Simpson.
Oh yeah, boy. Vicky Simpson. Yeah. Yes.
Well, you know, I was very lucky to have started traveling outside South Africa in 1986.
Okay.
You know, my first trip outside South Africa was going to Zimbabwe in 1986 and getting on a plane for the first time. I'd never been on an aircraft. And thanks to Phil Hollis, you know, because Phil Hollis was there. Herbert Kulu. I mean, Herbert Kulu was the one who was writing these songs, and Artie van Wyk. And Chico came in to produce some of my music quite late. But we had but Herbert Kulu, you know, Artie van Wyk, Phil Hollis. And I'm grateful to those people who gave me the chance, who gave me the platform, and they put their money, you know, in building my career. And I want to say to them, thank you. Because maybe other people never believed in me, but they did believe in me. But I had to work hard as well.
So Umama manje, where is she in the space? Like upizingana. I know there's charity works that you also doing. Radio stations. Can you tell us more about that, Uti? And I'm sure you're not. Are you done with music? Can you expect another release maybe?
Well, music will always be there. I've just finished a single with a tribute to Hugh Masekela and Oliver Mtukudzi.
Okay.
The song is called Murume Mukuru Tapera.
That's true.
Yes.
But Murume kinana Murume is like two.
No. Old man, because you know ingane zethu uzothi mama kubani zithi baba kubani, because things are bad, things have just gone haywire. So that's the single that I will be releasing. So I've been busy with my homeware and my crockery and my hair products and my radio station, and just doing the backing vocalist and session musicians awards that I do, where I honor backing vocalists and session musicians.
So radio station, how we online? Where can how can they?
Woman Radio is online, so you can download an app, Woman Radio.
So this is more of empowering women.
It's empowering women, young women particularly. Our youngest is 15 years old.
Oh, that's so nice.
Lady Makafula. She's amazing. And we're getting lots of requests from different people. Obviously, the worst thing is data in South Africa. Or little data.
And
you know, data is something that is very expensive. Yeah.
Lena, Lena, okay, now, Miss Priya.
So, Mami Yvonne, being big Insta recently, I think 4 days back, I saw you posted a picture from 2014, and it captioned your corner, the Princess of Africa, and Goodbye Malaria Ambassador, if I'm not mistaken. So can you tell us more about that foundation itself, how it started and where it is now?
And by the way, this is Zayda, our PR.
Okay. Well, malaria is something that is very close to my heart. I traveled to Gabon in 2005. I was invited to represent South Africa. It was a big jamboree. So we went with my musicians, with my whole band.
Okay.
And we got there, we were there for 2 weeks. It was lively.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much life. It was beautiful. But it was just unfortunate that when we came back, one of my musicians had contracted malaria. And unfortunately, she passed on. So when Phumzile died, it was very, very, it was something that nobody anticipated. And I think her death made me want to say it should not be in vain. I then availed myself, to talk about malaria, to want to know about malaria, to learn about malaria, what causes malaria. And when I realized that malaria was curable and preventable, and yet so many people were dying from malaria, I thought, okay, what skill do I have to even help? But I thought, I'm here, I've got this voice. And as something happens, God, on the other hand, makes things happen, because in January, it was in July when Phumzile died. It was in July when Phumzile died. And in January, I got a call from UNICEF. They were looking for a Goodwill Ambassador.
Okay.
I had no clue what a Goodwill Ambassador was. And I told them about the story of Phumzile. And in fact, I became the very first UN Goodwill Ambassador to choose a cause. Because for me, malaria was something that I thought it can be preventable. Not so many people have to be dying because of malaria. So what interventions are there? How do we make sure that the poor people, because for me, it's like malaria, it kills more poor people, they shouldn't be dying. I mean, everybody deserves to live. Everybody's life is important, and everybody's life matters, So obviously those who can, they will have nets, they will have, medication and things like that, and those who don't have, they'll continuously die. So that's when the Princess of Africa Foundation started, and I worked with UNICEF. Thank you to Bjorn. May his soul rest in peace. And since then, I've worked with the Global Fund. I've worked with Rollback Malaria. I've worked with different UN agencies.
Okay. So now talking about the Basadi awards, obviously you're going to be awarded with a lifetime. So can you tell us more about that? I know that maybe it's an event that's coming, but how did it happen when you get that call?
Well, I really don't know. I don't know how did it happen, because I'm sure there are more and many women out there who are deserving. But I would not take this for granted. I want to thank Cloni Modise, who is the founder of the Bima Basadi in the music industry. For her, I mean, she's young, to start awards for women who are behind the cameras, who could be roadies, who could be runners, so it's not only for the frontliners, it's for the women in this industry that is perceived to be a man industry. So I'm just grateful to her. Mom Abigail Kubeka as well as receiving the Lifetime Award, and I'm grateful to be part of that as well.
Before Sivala, Mama, your words of encouragement to young women out there, and perhaps maybe men also, young men and women who want to achieve their dreams, who sometimes feel like they can't, there's the challenges, the setbacks.
And can I add on the question? Because I see some challenges with you, and especially I know that Yvonne is very much active in terms of encouraging, especially girl child. But now they are into drugs. There's Nyarupe Kasi, and also they are musicians, even the pastime, where you find musicians say especially with the drug problem in this country.
Yeah, it's actually very sad. It's the times that we live in. You know, it's too much fast life. It's too much fast life, and everybody wants a quick buck. Everybody wants to get rich quick. You know, yeah. I mean, social media is something that is very good. I mean, it gets people talking.
Sure.
It gets people engaging. It's even for the talent. You know, young people are able to sort of expose their talents and things like that. And then you find other people who then abuse or misuse these platforms. So, and people see these things and they think, oh, if this one phila kahle so, nami ngifuna phila kahle so. I think for me, we need to be, it's the pressures of life. I think we need to start being present parents. Because I think sometimes we're so busy chasing money, chasing BEE, chasing tenders and things like that so that our children can live good. And when they are left behind and neglected, they live, you know, they get advices from friends and things like that. And then they start playing, you know, astati line, you know, and they end up in all these problems. So I think it's important that we as parents be there for our children. I'm a very strict mother. My boys know, even today. Yeah, I'm not gonna shy. I'm not gonna shy.
It's like it's bad.
Kishaka nja. Angisaqedile. Senzoqedelela. Kishapa nja itayenza yini. Yeah. So I think it's important really that we as parents be present parents as well. If you see your daughter coming with a Louis Vuitton bag, which you as a mother or a father didn't buy, why is it okay? Yeah. If when I saw qhamuka ngebhiyeme engaziyo ukuthi awusebenzi, maribagile la ejardini and say it's okay. You know, so it's all those things, you know, small petty things which we leave to be big. You know, I believe in black power. There's so many black people, you know, with resilience, with good working ethics. You know, I mean, here now, near hustler la. Man, it's mad la. Ngale YouTube ngiyayifuna leyo. Ngiyayifuna leyo.
Some percentage.
Ngizongaya percentage ngenkani. Ngiyacabanga ukukhulu yabo 12. Mina uhlaba omkhulu na.
Asedubs.
Uhlaba omkhulu na. Yeah, sure. So, you know, it's such things that, you know, there's so many young people who hustle, who make things happen, these are the people that I really believe in and have time for. Because you could be sitting somewhere and say, I to your panda. And then panda kwakho ugcina sobulela umuntu. Ugcina sosejele.
Yazi ngokhuluma ngokushaya ukuthi uyamshaya umntwana umbonisa indlela. I'm actually thinking now currently in this country ngama rights of our children. Ukuthi don't you think sometimes as many parents think ukuthi amanye ayamosha ama-rights ukuthi abantwana ngoba sikhule sonke siboniswa indlela hayi ukuthi umntwana umshaya.
Shawa sonke
sikhule. There's a difference between ukubonisa umntwana akho indlela and just giving them a spank to say what you're doing is wrong. Like we used to be beaten up at school. You know, obviously manje maybe corporal punishment. I circle and all those things. But I really think sometimes mina abantwana bami ngiyabatshela mawenza nonsense ucabanga ukuthi uzobiza i-child line uzahamba uhlala e-child line child line. Yeah, uzokhuliswa i-child line. But sometimes there are children who get abused, you know, by those who are supposed to be protecting them. Remember, as a parent, you are there to protect your child. You're there to protect your family. So no parent out of the blue, no, that doesn't happen. But we also have to then show our children. I mean, there's a difference between disciplining a child and being an abusing child or being a strict parent. You know, so all those things. That's how we grew up. I mean, my mother beat me up until I got married. You know, until I got married, my mother still beat me up. I would go and perform. Ngibuye ngo-12 ebusuku umama ngizomthola emva komnyango angishaya athi la kwami athi mina kwami 5 o'clock kuyabuywa like you know. So it was all those things. So things now have gone haywire. Children abantwana bayayikhulisa. You know, abantwana bayayikhulisa because sibhizi sabo mama, sibhizi sabo baba. Abantwana, they don't even know, the young girls, they don't know that they themselves are such blessings to us as their parents, as their families, as their communities. They are a blessing to us because we've brought a flower here. You know, every family, makunomntwana, whether umfana or wentombazana, siyajabula siyabazana. But what happens? These kids, they go out to look for blessers.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. Yini problem? Nina kanye nama problem. Kahle kahle ngina problem. Yeah, nginifike namhlanje.
Yeah, no, I don't touch it, no.
No, to shut it down.
Yeah.
The podcast, this is the best one.
Yeah.
I'm burning up as it is.
Yeah.
Is your heart on fire?
Yeah. I know. Singavaya sabonga ma. All the best.
Yeah,
Thanks.